what can I say? Happy Valentine's Day to everyone listening to my voice this beautiful afternoon. And I am praying that, for those of you who have found love, you will continue to enjoy love. And for some of you who are still searching for love, may you not search for too long. Okay, it's my, prayer for you today. And if you are not, you might be putting on white and red today. Maybe a touch of white or a touch of red. All white and a touch of red, or all red and a touch of white. And maybe it's not actually reaching your heart because there is no one to actually celebrate Valentine with. Okay, all I would say is that I wanted to say something, but let me swallow this one first of all. I only pray that by next year this time you'll find very reason to put on that red or that white. Okay, and so we say amen, right? But welcome to Matters on this Super Dial 90.3 FM, the best radio station around. My friends call me Sweet MC, but my name is Jude. Ikami Jude. And I will always say that I'm here because you are there. So welcome on board to Matters, where we discuss very, very important issues, key issues, okay, affecting the polity. Here we inform you, we educate you alongside, like every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. My name is Jude, Ikami Jude. Hey, today, don't forget, is Wednesday, and of course it is the music edition, and today we have specially arranged something, all right, that will give you enough information, enough knowledge that you need, especially in modern day Nigeria. And if in case you are aspiring to get something that is in line with your career, of course you would want to buy a land someday, or maybe your family member or someone around you might just be having issues, with land or something. And so that is the reason why I've got some amiable men in the studio this beautiful afternoon to help look at these issues one after the other. Issues relating to land, documents, property, all just generally, okay? But then we're here to take it beat by beat, so you can get full information. All I ask you to do for me every day is to always tune in to the show at this time, 1 p.m. up until 3 p.m. All right? We were supposed to be doing 1 hour today on the show, but by the power vested in me, we'll do 2 hours. Okay, because it's going to be interesting and you need this information, so we have to just see how we can stretch it a little bit just today. All right, quickly with me this afternoon is Honorable William Okeibenegu. If you recall, yesterday? Last week they were here with me in the studio, and we had a very lengthy conversation all together. A very beautiful afternoon to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right. I think I like that voice. Okay. Comrade Udoye. Mwakibeya. Am I right with that name? But hey, don't blame me. I like it when I say Mr. Property right.
Thank you.
Welcome to the studios of Voice of the People 90.3 FM.
Thank you very much.
All right. People, you can join the conversation right now. Like, you can just go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook, you can go to Instagram, and just any of the social media platforms, okay? And you will get to watch us live, and of course you can join the conversation by dropping a comment, or maybe you want to ask a question as we have this conversation. You're free to do that, okay? So just get to YouTube for me and get to the search bar and also type VOP 90.3 FM, or in full, Voice of the People 90.3 FM, and you're just there. All you need to do now is to get to the comment section and let's get your views as we talk. Now, our WhatsApp portal is also open. The WhatsApp number is 0700 903 903 903. Again, I'll take that. Yeah, 0700 903 9039. All right. Yeah, that's our WhatsApp number. So let's get talking quickly. Now, there are some important issues that I first of all want us to touch on, and that has to do with the C of O. Yeah, let me start with Mr. Property, right? The C of O. There are issues, even before you spoke about this. I wanted to actually throw this question maybe as we discuss, but I have decided to bring it to the fore. So we start with this. How can one verify, a real document, a CFO or any other one, as regards, what you said last week? How can one actually figure out, hey, this is the right document? Oh, this is the original document. This one is a fake one, How can you particularly lay your hands on them and get to spot out the real document when you see them?
Thank you very much. It's very, very, very simple, but highly technical. Why do I say so? When one intends to buy a land or any property, what that person will first ask is the title to that land or that property. If that property has a valid title of C of O, what you need to do is very simple. You can call in your lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer and you have experience in what is to be done, the lawyer will take that C of O, copy of that C of O, to the land registry of the state government. When he gets to the land registry of that state government, then he will pay for the search of that C of O. Then, if that C of O is valid, they will print a copy of that C of O from the land registry. That copy which they have printed will equally accommodate the survey plan of that land. Like I told you before, there are instances where you have multiple C of O's in one land.
You mentioned that last week.
Yes. So when you must have printed the C of O, the copy of that C of O from the land registry, it has a survey plan attached to it. Then that survey plan attached to it, you don't stop there. Get a licensed surveyor. Take that licensed surveyor to that property. The licensed surveyor will use what is called GPS to take the coordinates of that property, H coordinate of that property. When he takes the H coordinate of that property, he will now match the coordinate that he has obtained at site with the one printed from the Ministry of Land Registry. If they are the same, you know that the C of O is real. If there is any discrepancy between the coordinates of that survey plan in that C of O that you got from land registry and the one the license surveyor obtained from the site on the ground, you know that it's a problem. If there has been discrepancy, what you will tell the surveyor to do is to make a provisional sketch of that particular land, then marry it with the one you obtained from the land registry and see whether there is a distance there, whether the land is the same or there is a distance between the lines. He could be able to determine. It's from that you find out that the distance between the coordinate from what you obtain from land registry and what is at site might be up to 10 meters, 20 meters, 100 meters. That is when you know that it's a doctored C of O. Doctored or flight C of O. What did I mean? The one you obtain at the land registrar having the same coordinate with what your surveyor got from his GPS on ground. If they are the same, it means that the C of O is real. But if there is any variation between the coordinates of the survey plan on that C of O and the survey plan your surveyor picked up with his GPS at the site, it means that the C of O is doctored. He will plot it and tell you the variation in distance. That is why somebody can have a CFO of this property while the location of the land on the survey plan is at Oshodi, but it's the same CFO. So if you don't get a licensed surveyor involved to do that verification, you would not know whether the CFO is true or not. So I advise everybody who is buying any property or any land, yes, the document is given to you. You ask your lawyer to go for search, and the lawyer search the document at the land registry, and the CFO is there, is lodged.
So it must be at the land registry?
Yes, it's at the land registry, because that is where every formalized document are being deposited. So when you get in there, you pay for the search, they will give you the information of that particular property.
Is it the land registry you're talking about, is it under state government or federal government?
State government. You know, by virtue of Land Use Act 1978, the control and management of land within the boundaries of the state is under the government of that state. So that's why I say that governor of a state is the custodian of the land within the state. They are the one that issues CFO to properties.
And so what if it's a federal government land?
Yes, by virtue of the Land Use Act 1978, it says every land comprising in a state is under the domain of the governor, except the federal government land. Except the federal government vested land. When the land belongs to the federal government has its own system. The federal government has Ministry of Lands, which takes possession of all the land acquired by federal government. I want to let you know one thing. You know, prior to 1978, the state government or the federal government is not in custodia of any land. The land belongs to the community, the land belongs to individuals, the community gives title, the villagers give titles to the land. But by 1978, by virtue of that Land Use Act 1978, the ownership and management of land within the state boundary now becomes the responsibility of the state governor. Why the land that is acquired by federal government or for the federal government use becomes the responsibility of the federal government. So that is why the federal government, through the Ministry of Lands, can give CFO to federal government land within a state. So there is always a demarcation, because federal government has interest in virtually all the states. And when they have need for land, the land is acquired by federal government through the state, and it has all the documentations of that land from the federal government. But when you buy land from the state, what you need to do is to go to state government to verify the status of your land.
I would want you to, in the course of our discussion,
yes,
I would want you to repeat this again, because a whole lot of persons are actually suffering from this, because some persons possess a certain CFO, and at the end of the day, after a couple of weeks or months or years, they tell you that CFO is not original, it's fake. I know a lot of persons who are suffering from that now. But then, let's hold on with that. Let me come to Mr. Williams. If I want to buy land, I love this question so much, because some persons in Lagos just go about buying lands, and they really don't know what to do, right? Processes to follow.
But there is something very peculiar which I did not answer.
All right, please do.
I said before that less than 20% of lands or properties in Nigeria have valid title, which means less than 20% of land or properties in Nigeria have authentic C of O.
Less than
20%. So around 80% of properties do not have valid title. Valid title is authentic registered C of O.
In other words, you're saying 80% of lands in Nigeria,
yes,
right,
yes,
have fake.
No, not fake.
So what do we call that?
When you buy a land, you want to buy a land first. There are processes involved. It could be family land. It could be government allocation. But for you in buying a land, what you first determine is the status of that land. You ask me question based on C of O. But I want to tell you in general, looking at the valid C of O is only 20%, less than 20% of the entire land in the country. Which means 80% of the land
is not documented.
It's not documented.
Okay.
So what do you do before you buy any land? As an investor, whether the land has document or not, whether it's from family or not, the first thing you demand is the status of the land you are going to buy. And the first point of call of the person who will help you to determine the status of the land is the surveyor, registered surveyor. You will ask the seller of the land to give you the survey plan of that land. If that land does not have any survey plan, you can get in a licensed surveyor to do what is called a provisional survey for you of that land that you intend to buy. Then take the survey plan to the Surveyor General's office. Using that surveyor, you take it to Surveyor General's office. When you get to Surveyor General's office, you will apply for what is called charting information or land information. That charting information will tell you the status of the land. Three things are involved. It's either that the land is free from known government acquisition, number one. Two, that the land is committed. Three, that the land is acquired.
Okay.
One is free from government acquisition. Two is being acquired. Three is being committed. What do I mean by free? When the information from Surveyor General's office tells you that the land is free from government, any known government acquisition, it means that government does not have any business on that land. They are not interested in that land. They have not made any commitment on that land whatsoever that you can buy, close your eyes, get back to government and formalize your title and you'll be given C of O. That is free from government acquisition. Then secondly, when it says, the report says it is under acquisition, what it means is that government has acquired that place globally. They acquired it with an intention to do something there in future. Okay. But they have not exactly said what they want to do there at that particular point in time. It could be global acquisition, where government can look at a particular area and say, yes, we have an intention to do something here. We'll place it under global acquisition. Then, if it is under acquisition, it means that government has not committed itself on a particular project at that place. If you buy that land, it could be regularizable by government. So when somebody buys land that is under acquisition but not committed, the government can regularize it. Reason is that they have not been specific on what they want to do on that land. And because you have purchased it from the owners of the land, they can tell you, come, we will regularize this land for you. Then the third one is committed land. A committed land is when government has acquired a particular tract of land and have mapped out what they want to do on that land. Like they want to build hospital there, they want to build public interest project at that particular land. It means that you cannot buy into that land. If you buy into that particular land, the government will demolish your property because that land is committed to a project.
Okay.
So, it's only land that you purchased that is free from government acquisition that you can easily get your title formalized, which is C of O, from government. It is land that you bought that is under acquisition, but the government has regularized the land for you that you can get C of O on that land. But if you buy a land that is acquired and committed, government will not even listen to you. Government will not even look at any application you've made, because the government has stipulated that we have acquired this land, we have a purpose for it, and the purpose is defined. So these are areas you can verify. But the starting point for that verification, like I said, is through a licensed surveyor who will give you the status of that particular land to find out of these three in any land. There are some people who are mischievous, like I told you before. There is a land could be acquired and committed. The surveyor will now go and fly the coordinates of that particular land and take it to area that is free from government acquisition. And when he takes that coordinate, fly the coordinate, he produces a survey plan of that same property. But the coordinate of that property is changed. It varies from what is on ground. And this surveyor, that dubious surveyor, in connivance with the owners of the land, will not take that survey plan as if it is the location of that land and use it to obtain C of O from government. And in connivance with government officials, like I said before, any fraud that emanates from formalization of land, there must be connivance of the authority. So when you are buying land, when somebody wants to buy land, it's not just here you see a land, you just go and buy. No, you will take your time. Contact lawyer, contact a surveyor, contact people who knows about property. Because one thing is very fundamental. Land is an immovable property. It does not move. It's there from time immemorial till today.
Okay.
Thank you.
I like I said, let me also, before we move on, I want to ask you to, is there something is there a kind of an addition? For instance, some persons will want you to break it down to, in the best way you can. Me, I want to acquire land now as your brother, right? And I really don't know what to do. I just feel I need a land. And you are my brother. What would you say I should do? How would you advise me to, first of all, look at it?
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, in going for land, you have to do the needful, like as I explained earlier. You have to involve a lawyer and an estate agent who will help you find out the land. Then the lawyer will do the needful.
Okay.
Go back to see, to investigate and look at the documents being presented to you. Then ask necessary questions that you're supposed to ask before you can go for that. You don't just move into your land and then start buying. Mostly sometimes agents will want you to buy because they are not interested in what happens after.
Okay.
They are interested in their commission. So lawyer will help you more than agent.
Okay. All right. Let's talk. This is Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. In case you were just listening, we're talking about land or properties in Nigeria. All right. Things you should know to equip your mind, your brain, your whole being when it comes to purchasing a property. All right. Like I said, we are here to discuss these, for a very long time, but we will be taking it gradually, step by step, so you can understand everything you need to understand as regards buying the land. Now, there are some properties, owned by government, all right, that have been demolished by the Ministry of Environment in Lagos State. Is this government against government? Or state government against federal government? I mean, help us understand why. What happened?
Now, the fundamental thing is this. In every state, government has a master plan for the state. And government equally has a drainage plan for the state. When you buy land, the land that government must have given you authentic CFO, for example. They have taken into consideration the master plan of the state and the state's drainage plan. If you look around Lagos State, for example, you see a lot of canals everywhere. So many canals, water drainage channels. Those things are planned. They are well planned by government in such a way that it will ease flooding. Lagos is a swampy place. Now, some individuals, some developers purchase tract of land. And when they purchase that tract of land, some of them have been formalized by government by issue of the CFO. For example, a person buys 6 acres of land and the government gives him CFO based on the 6 acres. And at the back of his land, there is a canal, very gigantic canal. And the canal has been covered with grasses and all that. And he looks at it that, oh, nothing is there. I can actually extend this land. He sees the canal, that the 6 acres I bought that has been formalized, I can equally get 4 acres back through the canal. Without the approval of government, the person starts unfilling from his plot towards the canal. And when he starts unfilling,
and that's rampant in Lagos.
Yes, and when the person starts unfilling, government will keep quiet. They will not talk to you. It's only when they get in there, they will mark out your place and tell you to recess. Turn back to the original place. But in Nigeria, people do egunje so much in Nigeria. So they will leave you. When you must have encroached into the drainage area, the government comes, like what the Ministry of Environment did in Lagos State around this Ekota, GRA and all that. Those people have encroached into the drainage channel. And government cannot allow obstruction of drainage channel. This sea water is the ocean drainage channel setback. That was what happened. And people were advised, please, when you buy a land and you see that there are things people don't normally equally do. When you buy a land in an unplanned area that has not been fully set up, everything is okay. You still have to make one contact. That contact is to contact a town planner. A town planner gets to the Ministry of Town Planning, then check the drainage master plan of the state as regards your property, so that you will not encroach into the state drainage master plan. Most of the demolitions happening in Lagos is as a result of encroachment into the state drainage master plan. That was why. Except the ones that are based maybe as a result of committed land, which I talked about. As time proceeds, I will be able to speak more on demolition as a result of encroachment into the drainage channel, setback, and demolition as a result of committed land.
Thank you. Now, I want to quickly cut in. Mr. Williams, I want to direct this one to you. If your land is, or if your property is pulled down because they say that your land or your property is not in the right place, or is close to a canal, or maybe is described exactly what the description he gave it exactly where your land is located. Don't you feel that government is supposed to be able to do something else instead of bringing down a whole property that you built with your hard-earned money?
Why the government normally pull down all these buildings is because they know you're supposed to do the needful by way of do your checks.
Okay.
But when you fail to do that, that's why they don't look back and what they want to do, and what they want to do, because if they do, others will emulate and do the same that we did, waiting for them to come and have pity on them.
It should be a painful thing to
it
see
is.
your building pulled down.
Yes, it's very painful.
You built, just like what happened in Ajao.
Like he explained, you know that most of these properties you see have been mapped out for something. So if they take because you have gone there without doing your due diligence and they allow you to stay there, how would they make use of that to erect what they want to? What did that place have mapped out for? These are things you have to look
but
at.
But some people will tell you that Nigerians in Nigeria really don't follow master plan.
And is it a right thing? If they don't follow master plan, when you know you're supposed to follow it, it's not a reason.
You know, to add to what my brother is talking about, he say in Nigeria things are not done the right way.
Hold on, before you say this,
yes,
I still want to paint this scenario,
yes,
right, where you discover that a certain land, I want to still use Ajao as an example.
Okay.
It was a beautiful building,
yes,
very lovely, that
yes,
was pulled down.
Yes.
Now, instead of making people go bankrupt,
yes,
or making people lose their property,
yes,
is there no way that the government or something else the government can do to make sure that, at least according to P2B, you're making Nigeria poorer, making Nigerians poorer by bringing down their structures? Is there no other way we could do this instead of practically bringing down a very fine edifice, a very fine building?
Now
that's what I'm saying.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay.
I said, one, Nigerians do not do the right thing at the right time. Secondly, there is what we call informal city.
Informal what?
City.
Okay, city.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of urbanization, people are trooping into capitals, into an urban area, and there is no developmental plan for them. They just come in, buy land, build. In some countries, when the government sees that there is an informal city, in Lagos, for example, most of the places are swampy area. The people comes in there. The people come in
Is
there.
Lagos formal or informal?
No. I'm
According
talking.
to the
Lagos is a formal city.
It's a formal city.
But there are developments that are informal within Lagos. Where you see people building an estate unregulated, without permits. And because of that urbanization, people are building all those things. Then when they must have belts, and government comes around to see, yes, there is a massive development in this place, and that we projected this place for something, but because the development there is so massive and it affects the GDP of the country, what do we do to this? What they do in some countries is what we call formalizing the informal. What do I mean by formalizing the informal? You bring them together, do the necessary things, regularize their allocations, and give them title. Tell them what to pay. Give them specifications on what they are going to do. That is formalizing the informal. Because whether you like it or not, there has to be informal city within a formal state. How do I mean?
Say that again.
There must be, whether you like it or not, Nigeria is not an exception. There must be an informal city within a formal state, whereby there will be vast land. People will come in because there is shortage of housing, and people need where they are going to put their head. People keep on buying land. You are not making information available to them. There are so many relevant government agencies moving around in the state, and they are seeing all these things. They are not talking, and people are constructing. By the time they finish, they have wonderful edifice informal city. What the state, responsible state, should do is to look at that particular place. Like I said before, if it's the building encroached into the drainage channel, is one thing. If the building is on a committed land, it's another thing. If it's a committed land and government feels that yes, what we want to do on this land has been overtaken by events, whatever you want to realize from that land, you can still realize it from the people who must have built in there. There are instances we need to have a human face. There is an example in mining, whereby we know in Nigeria, according to the Mining Act of 2007, that you must follow the process of law before you start mining. But over 80% of mining in Nigeria is artisanal and illegal mining. And when the current minister came on board, what did he do? He found that I cannot kill all these artisan miners. They do not have license. They do not have government permits to do this mining. What do we do? Can I chase them away? No, it becomes difficult. He started calling them to form a cooperative so that they will be formalized by the government and start paying tribute to the government. So I am pleading to states governors. When you see, because Nigerian problem is so much, there is hunger in the land. People are suffering so much in this country that when you look at a particular location and it's an informal city and you investigate well, what you want to do at that particular place must have been overtaken by event. The people that built that informal city are your children, they are your brothers. Some built it with their pension. Some did it with bank loan. If there is anything you can do to formalize the informal, we plead with you to do that, because there are cases of countries that must have done all those things. And in Nigeria also, people are not interested in documentation. Once a Nigerian buys land, he builds, he lives, that's all. That is the reason why over 80% of the properties we have in Nigeria are not validly documented. So there has to be an orientation for every Nigerian to know that if you buy a property, if you buy a land, that the first thing that you need to do is to secure your title. Because a property or a land that has no secure title is prone to being grabbed from the person, and something can happen in that place. But when you have your title secured, in that case, you will be rest assured that even when you die, you want to write your will, you are passing a secure title to your children, not to keep your children.
Let me also find out this. Which title is the strongest title a land should possess, or someone should possess? I mean, they say CFO. One is I've forgotten the names now they mention and all of that. I mean, I don't know which one is the strongest paper when it comes
CFO is a statutory title to land by virtue of 1978 Land Use Act. That is the highest document any person can possess. in a land. Prior to 1978, communities they have customary rights. They give you deed, they give you whatever you need. But after 1978, by that 1978 Land Use Act, certificate of occupancy signed by a governor becomes the highest and most valid title to any document, any property or any land. It's a statutory title to the land.
Certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
That's
CFO.
The CFO.
Yes.
All right. Very soon I'll get to open up the studio lines. Our time is running already. I'll get to open up the studio line so you can be part of the conversation. All right. But then, okay, maybe let me throw it open as we converse. All right. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. Now there is this thing they call multi-door courthouse system. Multi-door courthouse system. Can you help us break that down?
Yes. Multi-door courthouse system was initiated by Professor Frank Sanders, a Harvard law professor, and with another professor, Crespo. Is a system, a model of an alternative dispute resolution connected to courts. The reason why that model was developed was because of congestion of courts. Example, in Nigeria, Federal High Court.
Hold on. Just hold on a minute. Let's see. Okay, I said that the number to call is 0700 903 903 903. Okay, I want to see how best I can be taking calls, and so we can still continue with the conversation. All right, so we can get to understand better what we're discussing today. It's about your property. It's about your document, your property document, and all of the things you should know as regards buying a land. Everyone is buying. If you go, there are several real estate agencies out there. Know what you're doing. Now that's why we're here. All right. We'll talk to you. Good afternoon to you. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is George.
Oh.
I actually am listening to your program, and in sincerity, this is the first time, and it's very educative and interesting to know. I have a situation of such, and I would like to know if the two great persons in your program today can actually share their numbers when the program is done, so I can actually ask for the advices from them, because I've actually learned some certain things from them today that I don't think were in place. Actually, I lost my dad, and I found last year, and I found that I had several fractions of land at various places in Badagry and some places in Lagos. And I'm still trying to put things together to know what to start from. So I'll actually like to get in touch with them after the program. Okay. I don't know if that's possible.
It's all right. Just keep listening, right? Hello?
Hello? Again?
Yeah, I said just keep listening, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Now, you were saying something. Let's continue from there.
Yes. I have to break it down.
Multi-door.
Yes. The reason why multi-door came on board is first because of congestion of courts. It takes a long time for matters to be dispensed in court. For example, the Federal High Court in Nigeria has over 130,000 cases. As at 2020, 130,000 to be administered by only 80 judges. 2021, 2022. How can 80 judges work on over 130,000 cases? It's too much. So a professor, a Harvard law professor, Frank Sanders, and Professor Crespo developed a model whereby an alternative dispute resolution could be connected. You have a court-connected alternative dispute resolution What do I mean by alternative dispute resolution? Instead of going to a normal court, whereby everything is done logically, you sit down with the stakeholders for settlement of that problem, whereby the aggrieved parties can sit down face to face, discuss their problems, and agree to disagree. At the end of the day, a solution is found. Most of the cases that do go to courts in Nigeria ordinarily are not supposed to be in courts. These are cases that should be settled by mere understanding. So when they made up this model of multi-door courthouse, Lagos State was the first state that embraced it in Nigeria, and they established a Lagos State multi-door courthouse, whereby litigants could no longer be flooding the courts, but they come together through the multi-door court for the matters to be settled. And those multi-door courts, alternative dispute resolution, is connected to courts. They have.
Let me hold you on. Let me hold you on. Quite interesting. But let's talk to this person. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chude. This is Mr. Richard from Germany.
Welcome.
Your guests are very making a very important, conversation this afternoon. My question is, why should the state government or federal government have authority over people's land? Why? Because here in Germany, private individuals owns 52.7% of the land, businesses 31.7% of the land, local governments 11.5% of the land, and federal government only 4.5%. Actually, land belongs to the people, not to the government. If government wants to buy land, they go to the people and buy land, not otherwise. That is why you see Nigeria is not moving anywhere, because that's why you see there is a lot of, people have no access to housing. People don't own their housing. People don't own their lands because of the so-called 1978 decree. Unless all these things are abolished and hand over lands to the owners, to the owners of the land, Nigeria businesses will be going nowhere. For example, in Germany here, when Hitler collapsed, after Germany returned, back to democracy, those land that Hitler seized from their owners were given back to them. Even as we speak, they're still giving back land to their owners. As long as Nigeria government is still keeping land, for themselves, is not going. Nigeria will never develop. Finally, how in a government of Lagos State or Imo State or anywhere, how can you stay? People will start building land, building houses, complete the housing, live in those houses. After many years, you come and demolish it. When these people were building houses here in Germany, you cannot even put your scaffold without getting permission from the authority. You cannot. And the government will stay there, allow people to spend billions of naira, and after finishing that houses, after living in those houses for many years, they remember, it was under canal, it was under this, it was under that. I mean, are we serious in this in that part of country or continent called Africa? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You heard what he said?
Yes. Let me answer his question precisely. Nigeria has a very wonderful law. The Land Use Act of 1978, though it was a decree then, but is a very wonderful law. Government does not have any business owning land. The law says government will purchase land from people, which is called acquisition. Acquisition is purchase of land, but forceful purchase. Section 28 of Land Use Act 1978 says, if government needs a land for overriding public interest, the government will serve the holders of that land or the owners of that land what is called pre-acquisition notice. And by Supreme Court judgment, upon the service of that pre-acquisition notice, the right of occupancy of those people become extinguished. And when
Just like that.
when you must have served that pre-acquisition notice, what it means is what you intended to do with their land, and it must be in conformity with overriding public interest. What is overriding public interest? Something that is for the benefit of the public.
No, of the community.
Of the public, of the state. Now, after you must have fulfilled Section 28, Section 29 of still the same act says there is a procedure for service of that pre-acquisition notice. You don't just serve it in the market. There you must conform to the procedure of service. When you are done with these two, Section 44 says you must pay adequate compensation to the holders of the land. But look at Nigeria, for example. Some governors will acquire land from people. They will not serve them pre-acquisition notice. Some governors will acquire land. They will not pay compensation. And that land that was acquired by government by virtue of 1978 Land Use Act is for overriding public interest. The court define what is public interest. Even Supreme Court defines what is public interest. Public interest are amenities, projects that are for the benefit of the whole public. But in some states, governor will acquire land and allot it to individuals. When you allot that land to individuals, is there an overriding public interest? The answer is no. Because you see some communities, some families, their lands are being acquired by government. The next day, you see somebody building a private property on that land. How do you want the community to feel? That is why I'm telling the man from Germany that we have a wonderful law in Nigeria, but the implementation of our laws are nothing to write home about. That is why orientation, awareness should be created to the makers of the law.
Let's break this down now. He said in Germany.
I'm telling the man from Germany.
He gave a certain what do I call that, percentage of the land owned by people, businesses, government and local government. Now, between this one we operate here, where government can just walk up to your area and say, you see, from this place to that place, up until that particular location, everyone should vacate. They don't care if you've built your life there. They don't care if your business will do anything. They just feel, well, that place, government wants to make use of it. And they give you notice of, what do they call that again? There's a name they call it. Notice of there's
demolition notice.
Okay, I think you're close to that, but there's a word. You're close to that anyway, and everyone is set to move, whether you have buried your life there or not. Government says they want to use that place, and you cannot raise any issue. You can't go to court. In Nigeria, he would believe government owns it all, everything. You can't battle with them.
No. There is judiciary in Nigeria.
And what about what happened in Abuja years ago during Erufai?
I'm coming, sir.
Okay.
It's only when somebody goes to court and court will adjudicate on the matter. The last court of the land is the Supreme Court. Nigerians don't take up the matter. Why I said we have a wonderful law, but we are moving one step forward and 5 steps backwards is this. That Land Use Act that is overdue for amendment, stated that government acquisition of land must be for overriding public interest. I define what overriding public interest is. Overriding public interest is a project that is beneficial for the public. Stadium, hospital, entertainment center, for the public purposes. School. But what is happening in Nigeria? Governors will acquire land, give the same land to a private person. The same land that is for overriding